Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to day 2 of the Sout Ilaahi Muslim Arts and Film Festival 2020, where we showcase local and international artists, filmmakers, and their films, poets, musicians, in order to foster a deeper appreciation for humanitarian work by becoming drivers of positive change. Now, inshallah, today we'll be having a special guest with us. She's none other than Jassmin, an educator for the community at heart. And alhamdulillah, I'll be having this conversation style-like session with her as she shares with us more on the humanistic values in filmmaking industry. So I think before we begin, let me just do a brief introduction. Now, Jassmin career as a freelance researcher and screenwriter began in 2005. Occasionally, she delves into producing, directing, and has since produced an array of works such as corporate videos, TV magazines, telemovies, drama series, feature films, short films, documentaries, as well as museum displays. Her work has been aired on national television channels in Malaysia, Singapore's Suria Channel, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon Asia, Asia Food Channel, Bio Channel Asia, and History Channel Asia. Her short documentary, Karaya Padi, that we just had the screening earlier, was premiered at the Freedom Festival in 2017 and is currently traveling for screenings. She used to stint as a screenwriting lecturer at the Department of Performing Arts and Media in Sunway University, which has flamed her passion to share her knowledge and skills, and even volunteers to give talks and run workshops to empower young people. Now, she is also one of the founders of Noir Youth Theatre, founder of Mari Bercerita Di, a program that bridges racial, age, and status gaps in the society. She also runs Moral Records, Moral Music Publishing, Moral Films, and Moral Books, respectively. It's an independent record label, music publishing company, video production company, and a book publishing company. It's like, mashallah, such a beautiful array of works. And I'm so honored to be able to have this session with you. So maybe we can introduce Jassmin. Maybe you can, sound like, Hey, assalamualaikum. How are you, Jassmin, and how's everything over there? All good?
I'm good. Please excuse me if the video lags a bit because the internet connection is not great up here.
Yeah, so Jassmin just told me that she's actually in Fraser's Hill right now. So that's why the connection is bad at the moment. So anyway, maybe we can begin with maybe we can talk a bit more about your background story, how did your journey begin? How did you first take interest into film or screenwriting, producing, directing? How did this interest actually spark? Yeah.
I think
maybe
screenwriting or film is just another form to what I like to do. So I think first and foremost, I'm very much of a storyteller. So it's more about the content than the form for me.
Yeah.
Because growing up, I used to write, draw, you dance, you do a lot of other things. And then when I was a teenager, I was in theatre. I had theatre training. But it's all similar. You have something to say in a form. You have all these various forms into. But it didn't occur to me when I was younger that it was supposed or it's meant to be a career. It was just something that I do on the side, right?
Okay.
So I went to study, and it was only after I finished my degree, my master's, I worked for a bit before I realized that actually I meant to be writing. It took a while. Plus, for A-levels 2 years, you got your degree 3 years, and I did my
Yeah.
master's. That's another. And then I worked, and then it hit me like, oh, actually, I should be doing this. So I started
Yeah.
off by the form that I chose at that time was screenwriting. So I started for corporate videos. From corporate videos, I started writing for TV. And then
Yep.
TV, there are different formats. So you have TV magazines. I started doing TV magazines, and then I did telemovies first, and then I did drama series. So it was a gradual, I would say it's gradual training. I had such systematic gradual training, but it all came unexpectedly. So yeah, I feel like it just goes on. You never stop learning. After that, the documentaries, it just kept on going and going and going. So I never stopped learning until today.
Inshallah, that's like really, really amazing how it all started for you. Yeah. So like, so I mean, you said like you did like a lot of different things, right? The one that we just screened, which was a documentary, was it? Have you done documentaries before actually doing that particular documentary, or was it something that like, how did that happen for you? This documentary, Karaya Padi, like how did it actually begin? Like you decided to wanna like do a documentary, yeah, like the journey for you,
So
yeah.
I'm mostly a TV writer, so I do a lot of television. So the documentaries that I did before Karaya Padi were for Bio Channel, were for History Channel, were commission. Basically, they were commission works. But there are so many stories out there that I'm from, and I decided like, I might not be able to tell these stories on television because it's not commercial enough. Producers don't really. So in 2017, because I've been following them Film Fest for a while, and then at that time they organized this new network. It's called Freedom Film Network. So we have different people with interest in making social documentaries in this group, and they give you support basically for you to pursue independently. So I thought like, okay, I can't tell this on television. Certain things I can't tell on television. Like Karaya Padi is talking about deforestation. You don't get producers on documentaries like that. So I just take the initiative to just do my own documentary since then. So I have spare time, I do my own documentaries.
So was this like your own personal, this is sort of like your own personal project, is it? Was it something like your own personal project?
Yes.
Amazing.
All the social documentaries that I do, my personal projects, these social issues that you find in Malaysia that are not being highlighted or highlighted in a different way. For example, I don't know how many of you got Karaya Padi. The subject was about deforestation that was happening in Ulu Kelantan. But at the same time, I wanted to talk about the condition of the orang asli. So it was an introduction of the condition of orang asli and the deforestation issue in Ulu Kelantan. That the only way it was reported at that time was through aggressive news report. The people were fighting aggressively and like the blockade and all that. But I thought that it could be told in a more subtle and more loving way. So the approach was to take that heavy or angry matter and make it light. We turn it into like a journey.
So you were saying about how these issues, right, were, I guess you're somebody who's very passionate about this sort of social issues or like, deforestation. And also like you were telling me about the protest that's happening right now at Fraser's Hill. So yeah, so I was just wondering like when you do these documentaries, right? Like how did you go about like the journey actually going there? Do you already like plan it out beforehand? Like you say like, okay, maybe this is the issue that's happening at the moment, and then after that you want to tackle that particular issue, or did it just happen by chance? Like just happen and then you just like, you know what, maybe I'm just gonna do this documentary. Like how's that thought process for you?
So when I do my work for television, everything is
Mm-hmm.
planned, you know. As
Yeah.
a you plan everything. For international body, say History Channel, you write for History Channel. Your
Mm-hmm.
script is already, your guide is really, what do you call it, all written out exactly as how you might shoot it, okay?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
that is very tiring sometimes,
Mm.
and that freedom to explore certain things or let things be,
Mm.
or
Mm.
yeah. So the best thing about doing these social documentaries is that I don't really plan so much. I
Yep.
know that I want to talk about this, and this,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that it's going to be somewhat like this, but nothing is fully planned. And I love the idea I
Mm.
love the process of uh, having, like when you go on a trip, when you're traveling on your or you're backpacking or something, you don't know what's going to
Yeah.
happen on the road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, when you watch Kraya Padi, a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
things were just magic that happened along the way. And you feel like, at the end of the day, you don't really feel like you want to write your name as the director, because there's
Mm-hmm.
a higher force that is actually turning things, moving things
MashaAllah.
forward,
Yeah.
you
Mm.
really feel that connection to these kind of documentaries where you rely on just whatever that happens,
Mm. 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 Mm.
It's a really
Ma-
not many people will agree, because to some people maybe the end product is really important, so they want it to
Mhm.
be a certain way, and therefore they mold whatever that they want. But with these social documentaries that I'm doing, I try to let it flow and see whatever happens, happen. A lot of the times there's a lot of magic, a lot of magic.
Mm. Mm.
There's
Mm.
a documentary that I put up online as well. It's called, actually I just edited that and put it up where during Ramadan, or was it after Ramadan? I forgot. I think it was right after Ramadan. I don't remember, but there's a few magic in there. It's like everything just fell into place, and
Mm. Mm.
often
Mm.
it happens.
Yeah. It's like you kind of like just let it flow and like let the higher power just take over and the product produces by itself, right? Yeah, that's really amazing. So I was just like thinking, you were saying like, like how your documentaries, you feel like there was like the journey. It's like it takes you on a journey, right? So from based on this, what would your probably be like your deepest reflection or your biggest takeaway when you're actually doing career party? Like what was it that maybe the journey, like the struggles that you go through when you're actually doing this documentary, maybe the journey that you went through and then the different struggles and all that, like your biggest takeaway lesson from it. Maybe you can share a bit of your experiences. Yeah.
Career party itself.
Yeah.
Actually, it's more of that experience going so deep into the jungle where I've
Mm.
never been before, and actually see the way this particular group of orang asli live,
Mm-hmm.
and that was quite an experience. Before I went, I had always been curious about orang asli, but I
Mm-hmm.
never wanted to join programs where you go into orang asli village, visit them, and they perform for you and cook for you. I never wanted to do that, because if
Mm-hmm.
I ever want to know orang asli, I want to know them as them, not
Yeah.
them up the show for me. So actually, Karaya Padi was my first experience going and making friends with orang asli in their place, and seeing
Okay.
their place.
Yeah.
So since then, of course, our friendship grew, and then I went back again, and things just flow. But that was really the biggest takeaway, because what I wanted to do to get to know an orang asli as a person rather than as a something that was on display came through the.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we can probably talk a bit more about your protagonist, Ewok, right? Like what was his main role in the documentary, and was he like your friend? Like was it was it like you already wanted to cover his story, or did it just come by chance? Like he just came out of the picture and then decided like, hey, maybe he'll become the main role. Yeah, how was it? Yeah, how did you choose that main character of yours?
Ewok appeared in my life because finishing his student project at the time. He's also a filmmaker. He studied filmmaking in Aswara, so he
Oh,
was
mashallah.
finishing his
Yeah.
final year project, and then they used my house as a set, as a location, and that's how I got. And I found him very interesting. So we became friends. He was on my Facebook, and then sometimes I asked him how he is. But I knew somehow that if I ever want to go into knowing orang asli, Iwak would be the person.
Yeah.
So when I was angry about Ulu Kelantan, that he was also very angry about Ulu Kelantan and the deforestation. So we talked, and I said that if we were to do a story on you, taking us through this journey, how do you feel about that? And he said, yeah, sure, he's excited and all that. Then I said that you be the main character. He said, yeah, okay. Tak apa, semua okay je, you walk, semua okay. But the interesting thing about him, as if you've seen it, he's not from here. He's from the east of Malaysia. So he's also native Aboriginal, tapi from East Coast, and they're very different from the orang asli here. But he somehow managed to get along and be a part of the orang asli.
So that's interesting. So like when you were doing this particular documentary, right? Like what was your basically maybe your hopes in writing it, and was it an issue that you felt like needed to be covered? That's the reason why you did this particular documentary. Like what was that driving force behind it, like your aspirations for this particular documentary that you did, or maybe even your documentaries after that? Yeah.
The driving force for Career Padi is definitely the issue, because the issue was such a hot topic at that time. And the thing about deforestation is that it can get out of hand. So the one in Ulu was getting out of hand. The orang asli were making blockades, and yet the authorities went through, and the trees, because I've been there, so I know how badly it affected them. I thought that that's the thing. I have to tell the story in a light manner so that it gets to people in a different way, because everybody else was shouting and fighting aggressively. So I just have something that was subtle, looking at it from a humanistic angle, rather than knocking authority.
Yeah, like it's a subtle manner. But how did this after you did this documentary, like how was the response like after that, like when you did this screening? Yeah, how was the response from the community or from the people around you? Like, yeah, how was the response? Maybe you can share a little bit about that. Yeah.
A lot of people, actually, first of all, I think most importantly, how the orang asli feels about it. So from the feedback that the orang asli actually felt that the documentary, though it's short, it managed to highlight important issues that they face. Not just on the deforestation. And this I got from orang asli new feedback themselves. And then other people, of course, always have a lot of questions about the journey, because everybody's curious about the journey. Like, wow, you went here, what's there? You know, they ask things. Of course, they noticed that, you know, it's a heavy subject, but it was taken lightly. They were laughing. Everyone, for some reason, after a screening, they will say, that's it. So, because the ending is a bit abrupt, but there's also that ending. You know, I didn't plan that, but that really happened. We ran out of battery. We got nothing. You don't have electricity up there, so I have to end the story that way. And yeah, I think the ending of the story works because one, that is the truth, you know, that really happened, and it's a really big message that people don't have much.
That's really interesting. I think out of this like whole thing, like you were saying about like the importance of like, you know, storytelling, right? Like even through your documentaries, it's actually the importance is really that whole idea of storytelling and like getting the message across, but then at the same time making it as subtle and make it humanistic, right? So I was just wondering, like, maybe for people who wants to do a documentary or film, for example, what makes a good storyteller? Like the qualities of a good storyteller. Like what do they need to have in themselves to have that? Yeah.
I really don't know. I think all you need is a passion to tell the story. That's all. I don't think there's right or wrong. You know, if you look at Tamil films and then you look at Korean films, they're very different in the way they tell stories.
Yeah.
And then so for me, there's no right or wrong. I don't like. I mean, like I grew to not like reviewing movies or telling people that this is not good, this is bad, this is technically. I have grown out of listening to that, reading that, you know, because you feel it. I mean, like somebody does a work, you feel it, process it. Whatever you get out of it is whatever you get out of it. There's no reason for you to look at it and say that, oh, this is bad because the lighting was bad. There's no real need. There is no real need. I got no time in my life to be discussing about how bad a film is, really.
Yeah, because like, you know, sometimes people tend to be very critical of like how they want to do things. They want to do things like a bit more like polished and stuff like that. They maybe get sort of lost in their whole idea of storytelling. So probably that's why I was asking maybe if there's any sort of qualities to make a good storyteller, you see. But also like I just want to ask a bit more of like the themes behind most of your work. Were there actually specific themes, or do you try to get a different variation of themes in your works? Because I know you done like different mediums and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe you can
It's varied. The topics I get into is varied, but there is I think there is similarities between a lot of the things that I like to talk about. You know, I like talking about being human. I like talking about issues that really needs attention. You know, social issues needs attention. My friends, you know, it's really difficult to not be preachy. So you have to really find a way to tell things in a not preachy way, you know. But sometimes can be a little pitchy because you are sharing an idea or your thoughts about a certain issue. So, but I try to not be preachy because that's just not the way to tell a story, I feel.
Yeah.
But when I choose my work, when I choose what commission work I do, I will make sure that it's something beneficial.
Yeah.
There's this thing lah that okay, when you go pitching in different TV stations and all that, there are criteria that you need. I always like, I know people in Singapore complain about this, but I like how Surya, or I don't know how other media corp station does it, but how Surya looks at what message that you want to portray in your work. I like the idea that the message is actually discussed or it's actually looked at, because half the time, more than half the time, in Malaysia we don't do such. It's all purely entertainment, purely telling a story. Okay? But what is the message? So from friends in Singapore, I know that not everybody agrees to having put the message first. But I really like how it is in Singapore in that sense. Because then you know, okay, how is this work gonna impact the community, or because out of everything, television, film, music, television especially reaches out to many people, and you like it or not, it makes you, it molds you. So when a lot of people be a doctor, be a lawyer, be whatever, yeah, they're all great jobs, but if you think about it, they're great jobs that services people and fit, like say a doctor, they fix you, which is also important. But if you are a content maker and you produce content, you're shaping the world. So when people say, you want to be a writer, what, you want to work on TV, they always a bit unhappy about it. You say you want to do art or something, but doing arts, you are actually part of that force that is shaping the world, and that's really important. And a lot of the people, because I teach screenwriting, so every time I teach screenwriting, I tell people who come to me to share, to learn, or that the first thing they need to remember if they ever become a screenwriter is what impact are you producing to the society? Because one, okay lah, we don't look at it spiritually, it's like, okay, what's good for the society? But if you look at it spiritually, you have to answer to all this at some point.
Yeah.
Whatever you write, whatever you produce, whatever you direct, whatever you make, you will have to answer for it. So if you choose to make purely entertainment, and then that entertainment actually corrupts young minds, and because of the corruption, they go and do certain things. So it's a chain reaction to something that you make. You be responsible for that. So I always tell people, like, be careful on what you write, because sometimes just like saying like a bad word, or even though it fits the character, it could be. But it doesn't mean that you have to make your work boring, and not real, because but you have to be clever about it. Yeah.
Subhanallah, that's like really profound. Yeah. Like, yeah. I also, okay, another question that I wanted to ask was that you were saying that like you basically do different kinds of works, right? Varied mediums. Actually, this one, like, personally, I just want to know, like, how do you cope or keep a focus on what your intent is, like, that focus, and basically, like, behind all this work, like, what keeps you inspired? And sometimes creative people will have creative block and creative exhaustion, but how do you just keep yourself really on the go and just keep producing what you're doing? Yeah, maybe you can share a bit more about that.
I think, okay, I have never had a blockage of anything.
Oh,
when it comes
mashallah.
to ideas, alhamdulillah. In
Alhamdulillah.
fact,
Yeah.
I have too many ideas because my friends say they always think that I overdo it. Like, like I have good friends who think that I should focus more on one thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I have stretched myself sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really interesting is it before I started doing community work,
Yeah.
I was only say writing and producing and making films sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I always complain I don't have time. I always complain. I say don't have time. I wish I have 48 hours for 24 hours. Always complaining about time. I don't sleep. I'm editing,
Yeah.
ongoing. I've not slept for 3 days before, it's like not enough time, not
Mm-hmm.
enough time.
Yeah.
But when I decided to, first of all, started a record label, and then
Mm-hmm.
with the record label comes the music publishing. I needed time to learn about, making these records and the music business. But
Mm-hmm.
suddenly, from only doing this, I am now doing this, but in that same time. And it was like, okay, can what? Just do it. And then from that, it grew to, okay, let's do some community work, But the teaching had been ongoing, lah. The teaching for screenwriting had been ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from that it grew to okay, let's do some community work. That's when I started Speak It. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
Speak It happened because after I did all my English, because I was head writer for my English. After I was doing that, I thought, how else can I? Do you know all my English?
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
So all my English,
yes.
okay, I can explain it because maybe some
Yeah,
people don't
maybe
know.
maybe some people don't know. Yeah, you can explain
So
it
all
more
my
a bit more.
English is a TV show
Mm-hmm.
for children, young people, teenagers watch it also, to actually encourage them to learn English, to speak better English. Because
Mm-hmm.
in Malaysia they have, in some areas they have people who can't speak English properly, even though
Mm-hmm.
we learn it in school. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have people in the rural area who looks at English like this foreign thing, and like they'll tease
Mm-hmm.
their friends, speak English, that kind of thing. So my English, I think, had helped, to make English feel safe for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people. So anyway, after my English, I was like, how else can I actually push this further? So it
Mm-hmm.
was at a time because I do a lot of work in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
I go back and forth, music or both lah, writing. Go back and forth
Mm-hmm.
quite a lot. So at that time, I kind of adopted Moi as my starting point. So in Moi,
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of rural kids who are underprivileged, and English,
Yeah.
is like foreign to them, even though they learn it. So I thought, since
Mm-hmm.
my friend was also there, and she also
Mm-hmm.
does programs, she has been teaching primary school children English in rural areas. So I thought, okay, I don't really want to work with like kids that are too young. So I rather work with like teenagers. I love working with teenagers. So I said, okay, I'm going to adopt a school. I'm going to adopt a
Mm-hmm.
school and
Yeah.
spend once a week with kids and just give them space to practice their English. So every
Mm-hmm.
Friday for 3 hours, we spend time with each other to do speaking. It's been 5 years. This year, unfortunately, we can't continue because of the virus,
Yeah.
but it's 5 years, and over the years Speak It has been fine-tuned, and I'm really happy with what we do with the kids, because it's not just English.
Inshallah.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you are developing them, you're developing
Yeah.
them into thinkers, because through
Mm.
Speak It we actually topics and like encourage them to think and speak
Mm.
out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really missing it because of the coronavirus.
Yeah. Yeah. So with this, okay, so you were speaking like you have like all these you had this program, right? The Speak It program, and then you were firstly like a screenwriter. You did all these things, and then after that, you slowly became an educator afterwards. Like you did workshops and all that, right? So like how maybe you can share with us how your practice or your work has evolved over time, like you started off wanting to do your screenwriting and all that, and then after that you shifted slowly, you start becoming an educator. So how has your work evolved over time during like this whole entire period? Yeah, maybe you can share a bit about that.
I think what has changed is
Mm-hmm.
like what kind of work I want to do and what kind of work I don't want to do. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I did Ghost Story Asia for like I think 2 or 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my Ghost Story Asia was like a documentary series that highlights different ghost, real life, true life ghost stories that happen around Asia, lah, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand. So because of doing my Ghost Story Asia, I realized I do not want to ever do a ghost story. Uh, there are beneficial things from these stories that we wrote, but at the end of the day, there are certain things that are just not important for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Mm-hmm.
not important to write about ghosts, and even though they exist or they um, there are other greater things that you should be writing about than something like that. So there are things I won't write. I won't write ghost stories. I won't write a scene. Okay, this one I've done before, and that's why I know I don't want to do it again. A
Mm-hmm.
scene of a drama or whatever at a grave, on a grave. So I will not write a grave scene ever because
Mm-hmm.
the production tend to film it at a real grave site.
Okay.
And I feel that it's a little disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Like while writing it, because that was a commission work, while writing it, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see that it was disrespectful. But when I saw it happening before me, I was like, okay, this is not right. So yeah, there are
Mm-hmm.
things that you develop that you know that you will or will not write. When it comes to like whether the educating influence how I write, I think it may be the other way around. I think maybe I had always been an educator first because there's always
Okay.
something that you know
Mm.
I always want something, and I
Mm.
use all these different formats, theatre lah, poetry ke, whatever form
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
say what I say. So in a way, that's like education, right? Educating, but the form
Mm-hmm.
of standing in front of the classroom and teaching that started off with Sunway. That was like a trigger lah, for me to
Mm-hmm.
stand and teach to a
Mm-hmm.
class. But when it comes to community workshops and all that, it's something that I experienced when I was younger. When I was a teenager, I was in theatre. I had people coming to teach me for free for theatre. And it was just like giving back. It's like a full circle. I received
Yeah.
it when I was a teenager, and now I'm just giving back. So I'm now, yeah,
Mashallah. Yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing. It's like a
Mm.
full circle thing. Whatever that you learn, you kind of like eventually you give back to the community.
Yeah, because in fact, I encourage people to come and share this knowledge with me, and I want to
Mm.
teach.
Mm.
People are willing to learn. A
Mm-hmm.
lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, I think not many people want to receive
Mm.
what you want to share.
Mm. Mm.
I just love sharing. I share too much sometimes because I share even my Facebook. Maybe I
Yeah. Like we've been talking, and I think we're almost about towards the end of this session. But I mean, I still have a couple more that I would maybe want to ask before we actually close it up. Um, I think maybe one of the question is, okay, like are your, like, the struggles of becoming a film director, like a screenwriter, like whatever that you've been doing these past few years? What were your struggles, and definitely what were your learning curves during, you know, these struggles, and maybe your advice that you could maybe give people, like, you know, who are embarking on this journey, you know, starting out, like maybe you want to give a bit of an advice for them. Yeah, bismillah.
I think, okay, one of the biggest lessons that I learned through being, first and foremost, a screenwriter is that you have to do it sincerely, because a lot of the times people might want to do it because they want recognition.
Yeah.
I had, for me, it is an accelerated, no recognition. When you write for TV or you write for films, you're the first person that is forgotten. So, you know, when you're first starting out, it can be quite frustrating because you're commissioned, you write, after you write, you send in. By the time they start pre-pro and, like, you know, like breaking down your script and shooting and all that, they don't remember your name. They don't know who you are. They just forget you. As soon as you're done, you know? So when people have rep parties, or even if they have their premiere or whatever, don't worry, they might forget you. You know? They will, they always forget you anyway. So, but when you look at it like face value, it feels really terrible. You know, it looks really bad that writers have to face this. But actually, it is one of the best gifts you can ever get, because it really teaches you that you don't need recognition.
Yeah. Inshallah.
So finish your work, so you finish your screenwriting work, on to the next one. You don't remember that one anymore because you're not waiting for the recognition for that one. So you keep moving on, you do more and more and more work. You finish, you have this, you finish, you start new one, finish. So when people start quitting, starts promoting it on social media about the work that you've done 3 months ago, 5 months ago, your head is somewhere else already. You're on to a topic that is more refreshing to you. That one is gone. So you're not worried about recognition for that anymore. You're already on to the next one. Yeah. So that's one of the greatest lessons I go from being a screenwriter. When it comes to music, you know, music is such a difficult business these days because you don't make a lot of money by producing anymore. You don't sell a lot of CD. You don't sell, you know, your digital downloads don't pay very much, right? So before, we also had a lot of telco earnings from telco ringback tones and things like that. But slowly, gradually, it's all moving towards streaming. So it's challenging, but there are ways around it. And I think now that we've survived 9 years, it's actually 9 years this year, says a lot, you know, and we get to constantly push out works, even though, you know, we are not like making tons of money, but we get to still produce. So that's important. At the end of the day, I think, you know, whatever you do, I don't think the first thing you should look at is actually the returns in terms of money. That will come. The more you do, the more easier it will come. Because being a freelancer, some people might be afraid to start to be a freelancer. But if you believe in Allah, if you believe, you know, that there's always risky for you, I don't think there's any fear. I have never feared not making money, even though, you know, a lot don't pay. If they make you do work, they don't pay you until the next year or whatever. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you will survive. You know, Allah will never leave you astray. You just have to trust Him. In fact, you know, you say that, okay, another great lesson from my journey, because I do so many things, the community work. You know, when they say that when you sedekah,
Yeah.
you get more back. Yeah, I literally feel that. I know that
Mm.
it's true because while I was only concentrating on my producing TV film work,
Mhm.
the amount of money was like that, right? And I was doing music, okay, then the amount of money was like that. But when I was doing community work is actually free, not money for doing community work. In
Yeah.
fact, a lot of people ask me, why don't you ask for money? Why don't you get sponsorship? Why don't you ask the school to pay you? Why not a lot of why don'ts? But I say, no, this is my CSR and I really want to do it, you know? But because of the teaching from one school to another school to different kids and all that, the more I was doing all this, the more projects I got. It is
Mm.
amazing how I didn't have time that I thought I didn't have time kan yang sampai tak tidur. I didn't sleep for like over 3 days doing work and all that. I don't do that anymore, and yet I still have so much time to do this. It's just
Inshallah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I feel that time is irrelevant.
Mm.
24 hours is not 24 hours. 24 hours can be 48 hours, can be whatever hours that you make out of it.
Mm.
So yeah, and that I got through just doing my work. Just yeah.
Subhanallah. That's like really like a profound ending to this session. Mashallah. Yeah. Anyway, we've already unfortunately come to the end of the session. Thank you so much for sharing with us your experience and being here and being a part of the So Ilahi Muslim Arts Festival. We really hope and pray that for all your success, and then may Allah put a lot more barakah in your work, and then may you get abundance of rizki from like all your contributions, inshallah. Thank you so much, Nick Jassmin.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. You know.
Yes,
I,
thank you
I,
so.
I wish the same for everyone. And then, never stop learning. I think everybody knows that, you shouldn't stop learning. We never stop learning. You're never ever an expert, like full stop. That's it, you're
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
Continuous process.
Yes, so lesson learned, never stop learning. It's a continuous process. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, Nick Jassmin, for joining us for this session. And all right, so before we actually end, just a reminder that there's actually a link on your screen to help us build a hospital in Senegal, and that's bit.ly/Senegal Hospital. So that's bit.ly/Senegal Hospital. So with that, thank you so much, everybody, for joining in, and inshallah, we'll see you again.